Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. It's 3 massive points for the Gunners in a North London derby that saw Eberechi and Viktor Gyokeres each bag a brace. Pep Guardiola celebrates wildly at the final whistle as Man City fend off Newcastle with a 2-1 win at the Etihad, and Liverpool gain ground on the top 4 with a late winning goal against Nottingham Forest after Villa and Chelsea stumble on Saturday. That's what we have coming up in today's episode.
Well, as you say, mate, there was only really one place to start, the North London derby, Tottenham hosting Arsenal. Both teams needing a win for very different reasons. Spurs a little too close to relegation with Igor Tudor coming in to the building. From Arsenal's point of view, you know, that draw with Wolves is tightened things up at the top of the table. Manchester City did their business yesterday. Pressure was on Arsenal to do the job in the North London derby. And apart from a few probably self-inflicted moments, Rob, I thought they did a pretty good job with the goals, with the control, and with the performance on a day when people are looking for reasons to see why this team are, inverted commas, going to bottle it.
Yeah, they've had a lot of stick, Rob, haven't they, the last few days? All those words have come back, and all those who I think secretly don't really want Arsenal to win, who secretly want the manager to be under pressure, and because he's not a particularly likable guy. I think Mikel Arteta sometimes they come across on TV. But they've obviously had harsh words. They obviously learned something from the Wolves game, because we haven't reacted to that. That was so... I'm sure that's so frustrating for the Arsenal fans. It was so bad, really, Rob. And you know, looking back at that, their lack of go on and win the game when they're up 2 goals or 2-1 or whatever it was, go and score more goals to win it, or win it by keeping the ball, keeping control, stopping Wolves having opportunities, stopping Wolves getting near their box. And they did neither. So when Arsenal are 2-1 up in this game, of course, I'm looking at, all right, what are they going to do? And they drove on really well. I mean, we'll get to Spurs and pretty meek, pretty awful, really, performance from Tottenham. But it is a North London derby. There was more energy from the Spurs players initially. I just thought, Rob, that Arsenal... That's the energy. That's the kind of drive that you want from a team that's going for the championship. They didn't look nervy. You know, it wasn't. You know, I think it's very easy for people to jump on and say bottling it, or you know, whatever it is. You can have a bad day at the office. And I thought Arsenal today, with this performance and the players that scored, were important for them. I just thought Arsenal were at it, Rob. Right from the goalkeeper made a brilliant save to claw that ball back that almost went over the line in the second half.
Yeah, 3-1, that might looked a little bit different, might it, if that goes in.
That's a strong one. That's a strong one. It's strong from Arsenal.
Yeah. I kind of got the same. I've kind of written down one of my notes watching the game was Arsenal have done what I kind of expected them to do, but wasn't sure. That was where I was at. Arsenal are better than Spurs, Rob. They're better than Spurs, and they showed it today. But there were moments when they obviously Spurs equaliser, and it's a bit of a mistake by Declan Rice. That can just start to eat away at the nerves, and they're not quite in charge of the game. But then once they got the 2-1, and from that point on, it was never in doubt, Rob. And that was one of the things. I think the biggest things the group or Arteta individuals can take away from that, because I don't think that's always been the case with Arsenal in recent weeks, that they've had that a bit more control. They looked in charge. I thought the football was better. I thought they looked more dangerous, Rob, in the attacking areas of the pitch. Maybe people running up beyond a little bit. Build up with Gyokeres looked a little better, and we'll come on to talk about him. But I just thought it's a day when everybody was looking for the nerves and the bottling, and actually Arsenal will come out of that with a lot of confidence. They've just gone to Tottenham, their biggest rivals, who want to obviously stop them winning the title, and they've scored 4 goals and been pretty much in control of the game.
Well, that's it, Robin. The goals. The 4 goals is the important bit for me, because Arsenal didn't win this title, over the last couple of years with maybe 2 years ago with all those draws. They're not putting teams away. And I think we talked about it on the last pod, Rob, about maybe if they got a superstar player to win them games and to get those goals. Well, today they did look like full of goals, and they ran away with the game. 4 goals. That's what you want. That's what a champion team should do. Of course, not every week, but it has to have the capacity to blow teams away with their goal scoring. Because if you don't, you allow the others exactly like Wolves and many others this season.
Yeah, they're still in it.
They're still in the game, and something happens, a mistake or something falls in the box for the opponents, and they drop points. So really good. I mean, it's a big decision from him to play Eberechi Eze, Rob. You know, he's that's what he's got, and I haven't been particularly impressed with Eze really in recent.
He's gone 18 Premier League games without a goal since the North London derby. North London derby, yeah, incredible, eh?
Yeah. And I mean, is it just a masterstroke, Rob, or do you think he's deserved his start in the team, or did Arteta think?
Interesting. I think he is. It's interesting with Eze, Rob, because when I see him today, like into the second half, and I know that they're in control of the game then, and maybe that's when. But when you see him, it's almost like, oh, you've got to keep this guy going. You've got to keep his momentum because he's a rhythm player and he looks like he's on the game. He gets the goal. He has hand in goals. He's electric now. There is days when we've seen him and he's disappointed. And both of us have said about that. Has he got that step up to be a real top big six player?
Yeah.
But then when you see it, you see days like today on a big day when the pressure was on, he looked like he enjoyed it and he wanted to get all the game. He wanted to put his mark on it. And the other thing, Rob, I was thinking just as you were speaking, you know, in the last few years, Arsenal have gone close and for a number of reasons not been able to get over the line. When you think Gyokeres and Eze are two of the players he's brought in this summer to be the difference maker, this is why he bought them, Rob.
Yeah.
This time of the season when we maybe without these players going, have Arsenal got enough up front? I think the argument should be that they still should have with what they bought in the summer. That shouldn't change. If they don't win it, they don't win it. But I think with that squad that he assembled together with Matchweek, with Martinelli, with Saka in the wide areas, and then Havertz, Jesus, Marino, it isn't the superstar player as we talked on our last podcast, but there should be enough goals in that team, shouldn't there? They shouldn't not win the title through lack of goals.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? That's the question. And if they don't win the title, then probably rightly so, there will be a lot of pressure on Mikel Arteta because, as you've just described there, I think a lot of fans, a lot of commentators and a lot of watchers of the Premier League and of Arsenal will think, well, wow, we've got kind of a big squad here. We've got a really, really good squad. I mean, Gyokeres was such an important signing, Rob, and really, like, he's still, is he going to bang in the goals to win him a title? You see him today, absolutely he is. But again, there's many games to go, and he hasn't always looked that much star quality to show that he could be that guy. I'll tell you what I thought when he hit his first shot, this first goal, the really nice strike he made in his first goal. Yeah. I thought that's the first time I've seen him really with a bit of space around the box to pull the trigger and to shoot like that. I mean, he's always closely marked. He's buffeting. He's battling with players all the time. There was another chance where in the first half, Rob, which is his favourite profile, where he gets it on the inside left, he comes inside, and he just missed the far post. So much better, I thought, from Gyokeres generally in the game. And
isn't that his game, Rob? Isn't that what we saw at Sporting? That he almost likes body contact. He likes to roll and get tight to players. And maybe
his goals so often where he found a bit of space.
Yeah, he's running behind. I mean, I'd probably go as strong as it. And to be honest, he was close to being my underappreciated performer of the week. I think it's hard to kind of give it just on today's performance because he's got to do a little bit more. And if he does, but I'd go as strong as saying, Rob, if he can perform at that level for the next 10 games, Arsenal can win the title. Yeah, that's how important he is.
Definitely. Yeah. And also, like, I think the big takeaway for me, right, is Arsenal's attitude at 2-1 up. And that continuing to attack, because if there's criticism that come in for this team and for the manager that he sometimes, and the team has looked like it, I mean, it's fair criticism that they're ahead and they drop off and they're a bit cautious. They trust the defense, which is really, really great. But still, you keep teams, if you just drop off and don't try and score more goals, other teams are still in the game. I thought they drove at this game really well. There you go, banged in more goals, take the game away from Tottenham Hotspur. And much more like, like not carefree, but a more positive, aggressive, determined way of winning a game instead of it being a cautious, we're gonna try and block them out. So that was a big step in the right direction, and I would imagine the managers learned a lot, the players have learned a lot, and I'm sure the fans enjoyed that, of course, because it's the derby, but also the way that they banged in the goals and kept on the front foot.
And the 5-point gap is still an important 5-point gap. I know that you've got to play them whatever, but I'd rather have the 5-point gap than the 2-point gap at this stage. Yeah. From Spurs' point of view, Igor Tudor coming in the door. I mean, in fairness to him, Robin, I did see something before the game. The amount of injuries they've got, there's a lot of people available to him, and I understand that. But listen, nobody else cares in the Premier League. The teams down at the bottom of the league don't care that Spurs haven't got some of their better players around. They're in a fight, mate. And today didn't look, I would say, that encouraging that they're going to be up for this fight if they get caught in it. The next few weeks are going to be vitally important to this football club, that he's got to get a bit of confidence, get a couple of wins and get a bit of gap between them and the bottom three.
Yeah, I mean, I think, people look at Igor Tudor and say, well, who is this guy? But he's been a specialist in this situation in the Italian league with Udinese, I think, a couple of times. Croatian guy. I mean, he's managed big players at Juventus and he's a short-term guy. So in terms of that, I mean, others might say, well, he doesn't know the Premier League. There's been many examples of managers coming in to clubs in the bottom of the league table. Pereira being one at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Oliver Glasner, you could say, Crystal Palace came in after Roy Hodgson near the bottom, hadn't, and got them away from it. So yeah, we'll see. But today, a little bit of huff and puff, different system, kind of 5 at the back. It looked like 3 in midfield with 2 up front. Simmons was playing up front, and they never really looked in control or happy or threatening. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he does. I mean, when you go back to the squad and the injuries, Rob, this is Tottenham Hotspur, right? There's 62,000. Their squad should be filled out with enough quality, right? However many injuries they've got to be okay and not in this position in the league table.
We're talking one of the big 6, aren't we? We're not talking a team that's been promoted or a team that's fighting
their money into the best first
the big 6 football club that is playing Champions League football, and that's the ambition. It doesn't seem to fit at times. But listen, we know there's a lot of work to be done at Spurs. We know he's in an interim position. As you say, he has been a firefighter. He has gone in and done jobs. And sometimes that takes a different manager than somebody who's coming to set a way of playing and a system and a culture. Basically, he's been brought in to make sure there's enough points that Spurs stay in the league. And then I'm sure in the summer, they're going to take a look at who's around in the market, who might be the best person to lead them forward, whether that's Pochettino and or all the other names we've heard out there. But I just think from a confidence and in the dressing room point of view, you just don't want to keep losing games, Rob, because that doesn't half draw on that group and bring the spirit and the whole kind of momentum. I think that's 8 defeats they've had now in the Premier League at home this season. Yeah,
and I know it's Arsenal, and I know the players and the fans will be like that. Well, it's Arsenal, and they were obviously, they just look really sharp today, Arsenal, really hungry for the game today. I'm not sure right now what the next couple of games are for Tottenham, but if they don't go well, then you're looking at no manager boost and but a real fight for it, because the players are like, oh, we haven't got a boost from this. The fans are like, who is this guy? He hasn't done anything so far. So as we remember playing, Rob, from our playing days, when new managers came in, you're pretty quick to assess what they say, what they do in training, and how the games go, and how the fans kind of react to the new look team and what the local media is saying. And he needs a bit of a boost, mate. He needs a bit of a boost in the next game.
Fulham, Palace, and Liverpool, the next 3 Premier League games.
Right. So the next two.
Fulham, Palace. They need points out of those 2 games, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. I mean, particularly the Palace one. And you can kind of, if you can get 2 strong results, you're kind of close to safety then. They of course, they're looking over their shoulder, but when you're in around 30 points, you're kind of close. So, oh my goodness, there's the next 2 for Tottenham. That's when he will get judged after these next 2 games. And if they don't go well, then it could be really, really bad for them.
Let's go to the Etihad. Manchester City played before Spurs and North London derby, beat Newcastle 2-1 in a really, I thought, was really good competitive game. City got themselves ahead. I thought Newcastle finished the game particularly well, a little unlucky late on. I think it's Harvey Barnes with a shot that might have given them a point after big travel in Europe, where they won convincingly midweek. Big game this for City. You could tell by the reaction of Pep the reaction of his players, the reaction in the stadium after the game, that this was an important one, mate, and this meant something to this group. That however Pep plays it down, they certainly ain't giving up on this thing yet.
Well, I think they're a little surprised they're still in it, and I think they've had a little run. And I agree with you and many people that commented after there were the scenes afterwards that they're like, right, we're in this. Like this was, I think they're surprised they're in it. And I think we should be a little surprised, Rob. It was scrappy. It was wide open second half. It was end to end. There was some desperation from City. They sat back and there was no possession late on. They kind of hanging on a little bit. And it felt like a big win. And I think now they're in it now. I feel like they're, with that result at Arsenal against Wolves, I think, well, this is a 2-point gap. Like we're really in this, and this was an important one because Newcastle are a good side. They were away from home, but they played really well. I'll tell you what I took away though, Rob. What I enjoyed in the first half from Man City were the front two, and I know that you really enjoyed Haaland. I'll let you come back on that. But Marmoush and Haaland together as a partnership, it was like a 4 with the 2 holding players, and then 2. It's like 4-2-2-2. It looked like to me. Semenyo and O'Reilly really tight in there. Silva and Rodri at the base of it, and then Marmoush. I looked at the first half. Right, I'm looking at it. I'm like, isn't it nice to see a front 2, a proper handful, Rob, proper handful. Haaland making his runs all over the place. Omar Marmoush, dynamic, determined, quick. Not intimidated by his strike partner, by the way. If he wants to go through and shoot, he does. And can you imagine what it must be like for centre backs, Rob, when all of a sudden you've got two really effective strikers that are busy, that are lively, that are quick, that are aggressive. I just enjoyed Man City with 2 up front, with Marmoush and Haaland, and I'm like, they look so dangerous in the first half. They penetrate so well. There's so much creation there from the players behind it. I really liked City in the first half. Not so much in the second half, but one of my takeaways was those front 2. And I'd love to see more of that from Pep and Man City.
It looked good. It was interesting, Rob, because as you were talking, I'd sort of made a note and said, maybe after a little bit of time, and it's taken a few different ways of getting there, but I looked down that spine, Rob, Donnarumma, Diaz, Gay, Rodri and/or Silva, and then if Semenyo and O'Reilly took in as well, but then Haaland and Marmoush. It's pretty strong, mate. It's pretty strong. And then I just wanted to go one more place to you. Let me tell you what the bench looked like. Rico Lewis, Phil Foden, Kuzanov, Savinho, Nico Gonzalez, Cherky, Stones, and Reinders. Right at the right time of the season, they got a bit of form, and they look like they got his full group again together.
Yeah, and I know we said it last week, but Semenyo and Mark Gahey. I'll tell you what's interesting, Rob. Did you see Mark Gahey's interview after the game?
Yeah,
Mark Gahey talked about
what he'd learned and working with Pep. It was incredible.
Something like that is gold for me, for us. Basically saying, I have had to start again. I'm learning the game again. This is so different. He said, my game has changed totally, completely different, and everything. The manager's asking him to think about
when he plays out, when he's got to run to opposition to bring them towards the ball to get out. You can kind of see why some players may find it a bigger challenge than others. Jack Grealish maybe was a good example, but we've seen a number of players go into that football club and take a while. It's interesting that it looks like he obviously believes in Gay, whether because of their short of numbers back there, but he's pretty much in, and it's not any bedding in for him, is there? It's like good age, good understanding.
We see him do his defensive work, and we're like, there's Mark Gay. He's really, really good. But I think there's obviously a lot more to it. I thought that was really interesting of how Pep works and how detailed he is and the blueprint and everything else. So that was interesting. Another player I want to mention, Rob, and he's my underappreciated, maybe an easy one, Nico O'Reilly. I was surprised actually when I asked Zika producer, because I thought we had him before, but we didn't. Nico O'Reilly has been brilliant for Man City as a left fullback. And we saw him live, Rob, first weekend of the season, and I was struck at his physicality. His physicality, his ability. And now, of course, he's playing on the left side of that midfield, really, tucking in from the left, as we talked about. And he's different, Rob, because, we know that Phil Foden's got an eye for a goal. right? You know, as a midfield player, City love a goal scorer midfield player.
Yeah,
Foden's done that before. And Nick O'Reilly got 2 goals in here, and he's popping up. He's doing something different, Rob. You know, I always talk about a midfield blend of midfield, of a midfield 3. You want to have a holding player, wins the ball. You want to have a creative type, and you want to have a goal threat. And I just think he pops up in the box. He's a different sort of player. That's what he was
always. Isn't he? Big size when he gets there,
and he's quick. He's got decent feet. He's a good decision maker. So he with the other players that's come into the team in January and the ones that have been there for a long time. I mean, he's adding to this team. So I wanted to give him a little shout out. Nico O'Reilly, still a very young player. He's got a great chance, by the way, of starting for England in the World Cup at left back.
It's a great shout because
both of those today, Lewis Hall and O'Reilly.
O'Reilly possibly could both go. It's a great shout because I think one of the things we always do with City is talk about the money and the spend and what they've done. He's another one who's come through the academy. Did a bit of reading up on him yesterday because, again, like you, I'm a bit intrigued. And read that he's actually was a midfield player coming through their academy.
Yeah, I heard that. Attacking midfield player.
And he came into the team because they were to position they hadn't got any strength on, but he's probably more natural to what we saw yesterday in the goals, as you say, the aerial threat. He's one of those, Rob, where I think Pep's going to love him the more he sees him, and he's going to be a permanent position because of his height, because of his ability to play in different roles, or if he wants to play the fullbacks higher, he can always drop in. He's got versatility, and as you say, I'll be very surprised if he's not in the England squad come this summer. So
and final thing on him, Robbie. I mean, he has defended, like he can defend. So as a midfield player, it's nice to have a player that can do a little bit of both to balance off a little bit and help Rodri at times, I think, defensively. So no, it's quite the change, mate. And with those 2 up front and with O'Reilly in midfield, getting in the box and scoring goals, with Ruben Diaz back alongside Margay, and Aït-Nour. I mean, he's still. I can't say that I trust them defensively. They still look a little vulnerable.
Yeah, I've kind of put my thing. Have City got that City run still in them? Or I still don't think they do, mate. The history will tell you that this time season they could go on a 12-game unbeaten run.
Yeah, but that's when they've had like a back four.
Yeah, they've had it in the past. Apparently, 2019 wasn't it? They went 14. They won the last 14 Premier League games to beat Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at this time of the season, I just don't quite think this group is quite there yet. Now, whether it'll take that, whether other teams are going to drop points, we're going to have to wait and see. A couple of things just for me off the back of it. I thought it was, and I think it led to the scenes that we saw and the kind of reaction and some of the words that Pep's talked about. I thought it was a different kind of win. I thought it wasn't the 3-1-4-1 in control. It was like you have to dig in a little bit. City that I thought was a nice side to them, and to that point, I'm going to point to a man who was very close to getting my underappreciated form of the week. It's going to go to a special player who I'll name in a few moments' time. But Erling Haaland, my friend, basically gets told he doesn't touch the ball. He just scores goals. He's got 22 of them at the moment. That makes him the top scorer in the league. But he's kind of often not particularly appreciated. I think people respect him. They know he's a goal scorer. But everybody tells you how he's not a great footballer. Well, whether he's football or not, I thought his heart and his application in this Newcastle game, mate, was outstanding. He was running the front of the pitch that you'd expect. He was getting back and defending the headers away like any centre-back you've seen. He assists for the O'Reilly second goal. He's running down. I think he had 40-odd touches of the ball, which is apparently the most he's ever had in a Premier League game. He's got 7 assists already this season. So he's not just about the goals. He's helping out others. And it's sort of reaction at the end when he was hugging, I think, with Donnarumma, and then he went down to the ground and he was kind of, it was almost like, here's a guy who, why does this mean so much to him? He wants another title. He's hungry, Rob. He's wins Golden Boots. He's got titles. He's been part of the treble. But he's one and part of the group that I think believe there's something still on for us. And I just thought he deserves a mention when we only talk about the goals and we only talk about, he's had 7 touches and he scored so many goals and he isn't a great footballer. I thought he was so committed to the cause.
I agree. I mean, the times he ran back and hit the balls out of dangerous areas. But again, I revert back to my first answer. Having Omar Mamouche around him, buzzing around, taking defenders' eyes, I think really helped him. and I really strongly feel that with working as a two, you know, I don't know. I think when you've got two spare centre backs, Rob, or you've got one marking, one spare. He's probably like, well, I can't run it. But when you've got another striker up there that's pulling defenders apart, yeah, he was lively. He's in great fettle right now and assisting. And, good shout. And it was good. I mean, Newcastle, I thought were much better. They big effort in the second half. They stretched Man City. They, of course, had that trip. Karabag, wasn't it, on Wednesday for them? 6-1.
6
in the Champions League kind of knockout stage. So the travel was not easy, but they looked strong. They came into the game really strong in the second half. They just couldn't quite break Man City down, who never look convincing to me when they are trying to grind it through a little bit, but they managed to do it, and that's a big win. It's a big 3 points. You saw the celebration there. Of course, this is going to be a fun race, mate. Arsenal, Man City. I think right to the wire. Yeah,
I mean that game they play. I think it's April 19th.
Yeah, we've got FanFest.
Could well be title decider.
And well, they could put. I mean, Arsenal, if it's still that sort of point, they could put City away a little bit if they can win. But that's a big if. It's away from home for Arsenal. And
big if. Well, and there's plenty of time between now and then for a few slip-ups as well, mate. So I think there's a couple of twists and turns to go in this one. I don't think it's done by any means. Okay, mate, let's move it to City Ground, Nottingham Forest, where Viktor Pereira back in charge. He got a 3-0 win in Europe this week, and I heard some good noises coming from the players in terms. And to be fair, Rob, what I saw this game this morning, Forest were the better team. Forest were the better team, and Liverpool's smash and grab late on with the McAllister, has one disallowed off his elbow, gets another from inside the 6-yard box. I mean, a great win for Liverpool, resilient and all the stuff you'd want to put to it. But Nottingham Forest should have seen them off, to be honest. First, I thought Forest were actually, thought Liverpool were really sloppy and really poor giving the ball away.
Well, Forest were up for it, and they got a new manager, and they got that confidence from the European win. And this guy is going to play as attacking players. Sean Dyche didn't. I mean, he played Dominguez, didn't he, as a wide player? This is more attack-minded. It's on the front foot. The fans are going to enjoy that more. They were excellent in the first half. And all my notes, all I'm writing down is all about Forest. Great energy, great width. They did everything but score. And Igor Jesus, I know he's a young forward up there, and I know he's done well in European competition. He's got very few goals in the Premier League. Obviously, they're missing Chris Wood. If they had a better striker up there, they got a really good foundation. Sangara's a player, by the way. Sangara
played well, didn't he? Yeah, in midfield. They both did. Him and Anderson, to be fair, I thought was dominant.
So this, and Murillo. I'm a big fan of Murillo. He could go and play.
Somebody might take a little look at him, I think. Yeah. I'd be surprised.
So goals continue to be a big issue for Nottingham Forest. The biggest concern, the biggest worry. Luca, the new kid, I'd rather start him. I would start him up front. The new player they brought in January late. But they were so good. And to concede late. I mean, Liverpool came back in the second half. I mean, Liverpool first half, Rob, because it wasn't just Forest football. It was their pressing. And they're counter pressing. They give the ball away attacking, and they're all over.
How can that be? Liverpool ain't certainly Champions League football at this stage. How can they be going to the City Ground? A team, I know that have got a new manager, but still struggling to make sure they're going to be in the league. How's that mentality work? That's a bad look on the spot. Then
bad look.
Mate.
The first half was a really bad look. The team didn't look like it had any drive, any desire. I mean, they lost.
Solid Verts did get injured, didn't he? In the woman, and Curtis Jones came into the team. Whether that slightly changed things. I mean, it also shows how maybe much Verts helps to knit things together a little bit more now, and how he was missed.
I mean, their football, their possession, their build-up play in the first half was shocking. Probably the worst I've seen it for a very long time. And part of that is Forest. Part of that is Forest's press. And they were high energy, and it made it difficult. But if you're Liverpool, Rob, there's teams that can offer some huff and puff and pressing. You've got to be better to keep the possession of the ball, better than what they were. I mean, Liverpool were better in the second half in terms of their possession. They kept the ball a little bit more. But didn't really look too much like scoring. And then they get the late goal. I mean, dare I say they barely deserved it, Rob, and they'll get out of there with the 3 points.
Really?
But I almost feel like, wow, that was
a draw would have been would have been probably the fairest result.
Yeah. I mean, Forest had chances first half as well, mate. But in fairness, but I mean, they did have decent chances. It's easy to tilt towards Forest because they play so well. But Liverpool did have chances as well. But you're probably right. Draw might have been a fair result. But I just think that's worrying for me, Rob. That is, at this stage of the season, with what they're trying to go for, there's going to be a proper race for this top 4 or 5 spots to qualify the Champions League.
Somebody's going to miss out, by the way.
I know that
right now.
Well,
one of the big boys, probably Man U, Chelsea, or Liverpool, are not going to be having Champions League football next season.
Yeah, and wow, look at some of the other results. I mean, they're all trying to blow it. We'll get to Chelsea. Villa blew it, and Liverpool look like they're blowing it as well until they get the. That's going to be an interesting race towards the end. That and
that's famous. The top 4 race. Let's go with Chelsea, mate, because 1-0 up after 4 minutes, João Pedro. You're kind of looking at that one thinking, against a Burnley team that have struggled to put a real run of results together. I'm thinking that, that's a 3 or 4. This is a Chelsea go-to-town day. Wasn't the way. Had possession, but it was sideways, backwards, no penetration. I think they had 2 shots on target in the whole game, Rob, despite having as much ball as they want. It was like old Chelsea in that kind of, pass it slowly, pass it here. Maybe mentally, we're 1-0 up after 4 minutes against Burnley. We haven't got to worry. Well, they did, because in the end, Fofana gets a red card. They give away a goal from a set piece. And we're slightly fortunate that I think Bryn Larson has another header from the corner kick from Ward-Prowse that could have given him a defeat. Kind of heard the similar thing. Obviously, Rosenior's not happy. Kind of heard the similar thing that we've heard under Maresca and 1 or 2 others. And while it's okay to see the problem and admit to the problem, we've got to start dealing with the problems, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, watching the first 20 minutes of this game, Rob, it's insane to think they're not going to win this game. How did Chelsea not get 3 points from this match? So in control. And I agree. I mean, I wasn't. They're of course they're a huge possession team, right? And that brings its own challenges, because when you want to do slow build up, they look like Man City. Teams get behind it. Just get behind the ball. Okay, break us down. Then it's not always easy. But I thought they were so dominant. They get the early goal. I'm like, this is so. It's crazy how they keep shooting themselves in the foot. Yeah. What did he say? Burning points away or something he talked about?
Burning points away. The last 4 points.
So many points dropped from winning positions and totally 19. Avoidable. Yeah,
19 from winning positions. 17 at home, Rob.
That's crazy.
At home, they've been up 17 points different to where they are chucking away.
I mean, that's obviously a shocking stat, but on the other side of it, look how good they could be if they stop making these mistakes. That's almost random mistakes.
Points, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
they'd be part of the title race.
Of course. I mean, Fofana, gosh, I've studied him and I've enjoyed him, and I've made a lot of mistakes recently.
25. I'm not having the age for him. I'm not having him, Rob. I'm not having him. And I've said before that defender, I'm not having him. Irresponsible, lunging in. You're on a yellow card. You're not 21. You're not 21 coming in at the team. He's 25-year-old international footballer.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, it's too many now, Rob. They're players. Yeah. I mean, so many players getting sent off, and then it changes momentum. And you still think, well, Burnley, they should be able to see it out. And then, of course, they don't mark at the set piece. I mean, Liam Rosenior did kind of, he looked fired up a little bit. I kind of liked it. And he said that we had a player miss his assignment.
Well, he said he wasn't going to name them in public, but there was somebody who didn't do their job picking up. Yeah. I've looked at it a few times. I can't kind of say if it was Tosin or it was Santos or one of those who we brought on, Achimpong.
Yeah, Achimpong came on. Yeah. But I mean, I have liked his words. I think he's a smart guy. I just hope, like you said at the start, Rob, if he doesn't improve this, like turn dominance into regular 3 points with no drama. There should have been a no drama to win, and yet they drop points again. So the fans will, as we know at Chelsea, will turn pretty quickly and start creating that quiet, funny atmosphere. If they don't start turning these around and getting more regular 3-point wins when they could, because you see João Pedro score, Rob, and I'm like, he could go on. If you watch him, he looks He could go on to be a very, very good regular scorer, top scorer in the Premier League.
Yeah,
He's got that in him. We've seen other players that they've got players that look like they're going to be top players. Mustoe is another one that was like, okay, all right, it was pretty good. And Gyokeres has done well. All these young players are growing, improving. So the signs are really good. I like the manager, but they're making these mistakes. And these errors are holding them back, and they've got to.
They continue, Robin, and I think he said, actually, youth is one thing, accountability is another. And I thought it was a really good line. Like, come on, you might be 22 now, but you've got 70 games. You've been to this. We've got to take the next step with this group. The other thing, Rob, just on Chelsea, before we move, look at their next 6 games. Somebody said to me they've got a bit of a tough runner. They've got Arsenal at home, Villa away, Newcastle at home, Everton away, Man City home, Man United away. Their next 6 games. So that's a shakeout. That's gonna tell us where this team are now with Liam Rosenior. Are they challenging for Champions League spot? Or are they just looking to get a European, maybe Europa League?
I mean, the ones, Liverpool we just talked about, Chelsea, Man United playing tomorrow. We're not going to cover that on this podcast. They're the 3, and that's a big 3, and they want it, and Chelsea want it.
They all want it.
Whoever doesn't make it, I think probably, you think there's probably less like bad reaction if it's Man United that don't do it? I feel like if Liverpool don't do it,
they got 6th and didn't quite make it. I think would still be seen as it's a good run, and that I'm sure United financially would want it. For the other 2, I don't think it'd be unacceptable.
Certainly for Liverpool, and Slot said it himself. If they don't finish there, it's unacceptable. So it's an interesting race, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing at the end of the game.
And the red cards, mate. I know we think, what is it? 6 red cards now. It's a problem to the club. It's a problem that the players are getting themselves sent off, whether it's doing silly things, being on second yellows, whether it's not controlling yourself.
Have you had any? I'm just thinking back, right, through our careers, right?
Yeah,
I can never remember a prolonged disciplinary issue that we ever had at our clubs, or I mean, you Wimbledon used to kick lumps at people.
It did. I mean, different times, I get it, and I know different fouls. But it was almost like at that time then, Rob, you read the room. You knew if you could get away with one, sometime the first 10 minutes, you'd take a challenge. And then we didn't have a terrible
record
because people understood the rules and knew where you could go. This Chelsea team seemed like reckless to it. I mean, I played 600 games in teams that we used to get a foot in. I got sent off once. So, because there was times when I'm on a yellow, I've got to be careful on that one. I'd love to go and have another.
It's a little easier now, Rob. I think the yellow cards are given out a little easier.
That's what I'm saying. It's a different climate, and I do get that. But there is still a point, Rob, where the catch goes on when you're on a yellow. I'd love to go and have.
I know.
That, but I can't do it because I've got a yellow. I don't think some of these Chelsea players have got that mindset. I think they see the ball and think I'm just going in there. And then don't realise what the consequences.
It's selfish, mate. That's what it is. It's selfish. There was a couple of times where I was so fired up with the player I'm playing against. I really want
to leave.
But you can't.
Can you?
No.
You're going to let your team down, probably lose the game. You're going to miss a couple of games and all that.
You let a lot of people down. The fans that travel, I know.
Yeah. It's a good shout. But, that's another thing that Liam Rosenior, as a young coach, I think has got to address. He's got to address with this group because it's hurting them. Them winning points.
Hey, Rob, just thinking about it, weren't Arsenal the same a few years ago? A couple of years ago.
They had a spell under Arteta, didn't they? They had a spell.
Yeah, was it like the beginning of last year? All these silly red cards and kicking the ball away and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, coaching and strategy and playing, but also emotional control and game management and game understanding is still an important part of successful teams, keeping 11 players on. Let's go to Villa Park, mate, where Aston Villa got a 1-1 draw with Leeds. Leeds got scored a beautiful stack free kick. Don't know if you saw it. Emi Martinez was sort of thinking the ball's coming in for a cross. Free kick from Stack, and he's bent one in. He's done it a couple of times, Stack. He's obviously...
I like Stack. I like it.
A few Leeds fans, I think, bought him for about 15 million or something, pounds or dollars, but... He looks an all-round quality player. And his goal was the difference up until Villa through on Tammy Abraham, who scored, sort of thighed a ball from a set piece into the back of the net. But I must admit, I kept a good eye on this game. I don't know if I like Leeds. I don't know if I think they've done an quietly incredible job, and he's got his 5. It was a bit of a 5-4-1, but he shut down the middle of the pitch, and he made sure, all those, the Rodgers and the Buendias and the people who are trying to get in the hole, he stopped them and said, you can have it wide, and if you're going to cross it, we've got good people who can challenge you in the area, and we're going to have bodies around the central areas of the pitch. Really well set up. I thought they've done a really good job, made it really difficult for Villa, and the Tammy Abraham's goal in the end was enough to get Villa a point, but obviously disappointment that they didn't get all 3 and keep themselves a little bit more of a gap in that race for Champions League spots.
Yeah, I think Leeds United, very much like Sunderland, Rob, but they all 3 promoted teams bought new teams, and it's really hard to kind of predict how that's going to go. Obviously, 2 of them have done really, really well with these new players, and Burnley not so much. So another great point for them. What's that put them on now, Rob? I feel like when they're into the 31 points, you can see it. You can see the light. 30s,
there's a light not far away, isn't there? Yeah.
And also for Villa, right? And they're stumbling. I think they've won 1 in 5. Yeah. They're still 6 points clear, Rob, in first place.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, how did that work out then? I mean, 6 points clear, they Aston Villa. So when
we had a great run, and I was listening to a radio debate, and a few people talking about Villa, and initially saying, "Oh well, they could have been part of this title race," and that. And I kind of looked at it in my head. To me, Rob, they were never really in the title race. I think Jose called them a little horse, of course, because of the points and where they were sitting in the league. But when I look at the group, when I look at the squad, when I look at the depth, when I look where they are, to me, they're not a title team. They're not ready to win the title.
Which makes it more remarkable, Rob. Given
and
in third place,
3rd or 4th ahead of one of the big boys that we've just talked about might miss out. It's kind of success as well.
Excellent.
Villa.
It's excellent.
You'd look at that as success, and if Chelsea, Liverpool, or Man United are sitting out of those spots and Villa are in, that's a massive step up for Aston Villa.
Yeah, brilliant. Really, I mean, this isn't a great result, and this isn't a pro, but it's just like overlooking the league table right now. Aston Villa 6 points clear in 3rd place. Like with that, when you go through their team, it's not a brilliant team. So far, it's excellent. And I think some people think that they might wobble Villa. When you think about Villa,
they might be the one
and there's bigger ones come in. But I mean, that's a nice gap with
There's a nice gap with that manager and a decent group of players who look committed to it. Could do with Ollie Watkins getting back sharp again. He looks like he's just dropping off at the wrong time for him personally.
Abraham's good, isn't he? Tammy Abraham's back where he wants to be.
Great bit of business. Great bit of business. Yeah, knows the league comes in and can affect things. So, a bit of work for Unai and Villa to do, but find themselves in a great place in 3rd in the Premier League at the moment. Okay, let's just run through some other results. I'm going to start at the G-Tech. Brentford 0, Brighton 2 for a couple of reasons. Brighton getting back to where we like to see them. Gomez getting the first goal, Danny Welbeck getting the second. That gives them a 2-0 win against Brentford, which is not easy after the job that Keith Andrews done. But I've got to go to my underappreciated performer of the week, mate. And it's a bit of Premier League history, in fact. I'm going to call it Premier League royalty.
Yeah, I get where you're going.
Underappreciated goes to Sir James Milner. 40-year-old footballer, still playing in the Premier League, which is incredible. He's got 654 games, 56 goals, 87 assists. He's had a 23-year career. He started at Leeds at 16 years of age, which I believe was the season before when I retired. I retired 2001. Apparently, he started 2 or 3 weeks after you retired.
Yeah, John Champion. Oh, no, John Champion looked into it, and I think I played at Everton. I had a thigh injury at Everton, which ended up being my last Premier League minutes. I think he might have started the week after or something.
The week after, yeah. So basically,
never played against
you
him.
Passed the baton on to James Milner.
Yeah, not old.
Robbie
Mustoe
passed it on to James Milner. But I mean, what a career, mate. Started at Leeds as a 16-year-old, went Newcastle, Villa, Man City, 2 titles there, Liverpool, 1 title there. He's at Brighton now. The manager's talked, just about it. The role model he is to the rest of the dressing room, his fitness, how he looks after himself. He doesn't drink. just in a time, mate, when we see people in and out the game, people can't get, 23 years of playing at this level of football, where he's
the highest level, Rob, and the highest level. He's won all there is to win at different clubs. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
And been respected at all those clubs as well. Never left one. He probably goes back, gets a round of applause at every one of those clubs, which is something different. And just in a time when, players, maybe want to take the easier routes, or we see players, I don't know. I see Jadon Sancho and I look at all that talent he's got and like, what kind of career is he going to have? He is a guy, Rob, who's made the absolute most of what he's got. And I couldn't be more pleased for him. And obviously he's still going as things are. So who knows where he's going to end up in terms of Premier League games. But I thought I had to give my underappreciated to Sir James Milner.
You know what? I love it so much. And it really is what this little thing we do every week's all about. Underappreciated. And James Milner, for all that stuff we just talked about, he was underappreciated, literally underappreciated for his effect at all these football clubs, all these managers, great clubs used him, and all the trophies that he won. I mean, we should rename it. It should be the Milner Award. It should be a Milner Award that's underappreciated, because he typifies and he's a record breaker with these appearances and the trophies and stuff. So very good shout, mate. And I thought you might put him out because that's the soft Earle, the romantic Earle.
James, but we've got
good shout. Well done, James Milner, legend, absolute ledge.
Let's go to Sellers Park, Crystal Palace. A few clouds circling over that club at the moment with Europe and a bit of fan unrest with Oliver Glasner and obviously him going at the end of the season. But they got a win. Been a while since that happened, but a 1-0 win against Wolves. Eric Gassond gets the goal after Henderson's made a save, didn't he, from Wolves. Penalty in the, I think it was in the second half. He came up with a good save, Henderson, that kept it 0-0, and Gassond come on late and got the winner. So good points for Crystal Palace, which were well needed. Sunderland 1, Fulham 3. Raul Jimenez with a goal and a penalty. I think he's 13 of 13 in penalties now, Jimenez. 2 goals for him. He continues to do a good job. Iwobi gets the third, while Lafay scored a penalty for Sunderland. But we know how difficult it is to go to Stadium of Light. Fulham going up there. And Marco Silva is another one, isn't he? Little Marco Silva, mate, continues to be another one under the radar.
Yeah, and probably underappreciated. Again, he has little runs and it comes under the radar a little bit. That's a great result. I mean, that's a tough place to go. I think Sunderland are probably going to run out a little bit of steam, Rob, given what they've done.
And
quite the result.
Being almost safe, maybe the mentality just changes a little bit, which is acceptable, I suppose, or understandable even when they're in the run that they were in. Went to London Stadium. It was West Ham 0, Bournemouth 0, the first game of the weekend. There was a point apiece. West Ham obviously looking to try and get 3 to claw Forest back into the race. Bournemouth, bit of a inconsistent time at the moment. So 2 points from safety. West Ham now 18th in the Premier League, but still very much part of it. And they do look better, West Ham, don't they? It does look a little bit more. I kind of think that there's more hope. They didn't look like a relegation team to me, which I thought is a compliment to Nuno and his team. Yeah,
I just they've still got it on for me to get out of it. There's 2-point gap right now. But it's just the eye test, Rob, right? When we watch Forest against Liverpool, I'm like, they should never be down there, Forest. They should never be down there. With that support, I kind of like their chances. I like the manager, Vitor Pereira. I think he's going to bring energy and he's going to get them on the front foot. They have a style. I think they got enough to get out of it. I mean, then you look up the table. I'm looking at Tottenham Hotspur, 29 points.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't find a way to find a little bit of form, going from 29 to 36, 38,
might could be a long time.
All that being said, I still think West Ham United, for me, I mean, I think a couple of months ago, I still believe they could get out of it, but the teams are ahead of them. Leeds have found a little bit of form. They're on 31 points. Again, Forest, I think, are going to get better. So I would still, I think right now, I would still favour West Ham, Rob, to go down.
West Ham to go down.
Who do you think?
2 points. I know
it's only 2 points. Yeah. It's tight. But they all look like they could go on a bit of a run, apart from Tottenham. I mean, could Tottenham slide down
into it?
The next couple of weeks, they could end up being in there, in the bottom three.
Yeah, I quite like West Ham. I've got to be honest. I quite like what I'm seeing of them lately.
Who don't you like? Who don't you like?
I probably like Spurs least of all. What I'm seeing down there with injuries and things. If they lost 2 or 3 on the bounce, let's say, and it started to get toxic there,
and you've got the guy in that's meant to be the guy that's going to get you out of stuff. I mean, you ain't going to replace him again. I mean,
I worry for Forest is a goal scorer.
Regular
goal scorer who can get me 5, 6, 7 goals between now and the end of the season. That gets us out of trouble. The rest of the team looks pretty good. That's a worry as well. So, West Ham do look like they've got people who Tati and Souček and Bowen and Wilson. But we'll see, mate. That's what the season's all about. Top end and bottom end. We could be going down to the last game of the season before we sort things out. All right, mate, that's it for this weekend when the North London remains red as the Gunners get 4 goals and 3 points in the big match at Tottenham. Don't forget a small amount of Everton v Manchester United tomorrow from the Hill Dickinson Stadium. That's 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network. And we'll be back next weekend, and we're back in the studios with the Winter Olympics all done. That's match week 28, when Arsenal host Chelsea in another huge London derby. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.